Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here to do the books that I read in August, and that's in August of 2020. So the first thing I did was every time I start a new month, I grab one of my digital files and I end up, punching out a whole bunch of viewfinders and arrows and just different circles, and I'm adding them to a little 6x8 page protector. I'm putting them all inside, and I hope to build up sort of a whole bunch of different embellishment foundation and labels and arrows. And then that way, when I work on the books that I read for a specific month, I'll have different colors. Because if I were to sit there and just cut all the different colors that I could possibly use, it would take me forever. So every time I work on it, I take 10-15 minutes and just cut a new color. Another thing that I did at the beginning of last year was stamped out a whole bunch of books, over 100 books, and then I did the numbers right away. And then that way, when I print my photos, I like to number my books from 1 to whatever, how many books that I read. And on each book, it's actually, the number that I finished that book. Then I take a Project Life kit and I find cards that match with each of the photos. Now, I don't go through 15 Project Life kits. I just take one and I use it for that month. And then the next month, I just use another one. And then that way, each of my Project Life kits all get used up. So let's start with the first book that I read in the month of August. So the first book is Stormcaster by Cinda Williams Chima, and this is book number 3 in their Shattered Realms series. I guess there's 4 books, so it's not a trilogy. But this is a young adult fantasy book, and there is quite a few different characters, and it's very political, and you get so attached to all these characters. This is sort of like the second series. There was the 7 Realms series, which had 5 books, and then this book has 4 books, and it's several years later, and it's the kids of some of the characters from the first book. I love this series so much. Every book was 5 stars to me. I just got so invested in all the characters, and man, she can make you laugh, but she can also make you cry. The second book I read was the 5th season, which is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. And this is a really weird book. And it follows 2 or 3 different people, and it's their story. And you have a mother that's looking for her daughter. You have a child that has powers, and she gets sent to this camp, to sort of reform her or train her. And then you have people that can control earthquakes. I have to say, most of the book I was kind of trying to figure out what was going on. I know a lot of people, this is one of their favorite series. It's like a 5-star read, all the books. I thought it was okay. I'm going to keep going with the series. I liked it enough. I kind of got grounded in the story towards, the middle to the end of the book. So, but to me, it was like a 3.75 story. So I'm hoping that the next books, I will like them more. The next book I read was Side Trip by Carrie Lonsdale. And this is a young adult no, not a young adult. It's an adult contemporary. And it is about a girl that is doing a trip, and it's to kind of remember her sister. She ends up meeting a singer, and they end up doing the trip together, and it's kind of their story. I enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read for me. I've read quite a few books from this author, and all the books are really a little bit more than just an adult contemporary. There is some heavy sort of subject during the book. So I like that. I like that it's just not fluff, that there's some meat to the book. So the next book I read was Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers, and this is a young adult contemporary. And this is another one that it has a little bit more than just your young adult contemporary. It follows a girl, Parker, that kind of just had it all. She was on the cheerleading team, her marks were great, and then all of a sudden, she is sort of like on the wrong side of everything. She's not doing well in school. She's off the cheerleading team. She dropped her, her boyfriend, and then you're kind of learning her story and what happened that she is now where she is. And I really enjoyed that book. I gave it a 4 stars. The next book is the finale in the Shattered Realms series. It's called Deathcaster. And again, it was a 5-star read for me. It was a great end to the series, and my husband also, he listens to audiobooks. He doesn't read the books, but he listened to the 9 books of the series, and he thoroughly enjoyed the whole series also. And I just realized that I've read, I'm pretty sure, everything that this author has written, and I've loved everything. She wrote the Air Chronicles, which I've read, the 7 Realms, and the Shattered Realms. As I quickly looked on Goodreads, I have read everything that she's written, but I've also just noticed that she's coming out with a new novel next, it says January 2022. So looking forward to that. Now the next book I read was How to Walk Away. Let me find the book. What I'm doing is I have this up on Goodreads so I can see it. How to Walk Away by Catherine Center. And this was talking about heavy. This was really heavy. It follows a girl, and it's supposed to be the happiest day in her life, but this huge tragedy happens on that day, and it changes the entire course of her life. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like a 4.5 read. There was so much to this book, and this is the second book that I've read from this author, but it certainly won't be the last. Now the next book that I read is, and the last book of the month, is The Player Next Door by K.A. Tucker. And this is an adult contemporary, and it's about this girl and this guy, and they kind of hated each other she hated him. He had no idea that he was supposed to hate her. And then she moves away, and then she ends up moving back, and come to find out her next door neighbor is him. So this is the story of Shane and Beckett, and just how they their story, I guess, their love story. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. This is another author. I read The Simple Wild, and then I ended up reading Forever Wild, I think it was the other one. And then I read a novella, and then, it just goes on. And then now I'm going back to her backlist, and I'm reading a lot of her books, and I'm really enjoying them. So what I'm doing a whole lot more too is I'm reading on my Kindle. So I have way more books on my Kindle than I'm actually buying the physical books. So now I'm going to take a minute, and I'm just going to put everything away. And this is the 6x8 page protector that I was referring to, and I'm putting every little piece of scrap of viewfinders and circles and labels, and I'm just putting that away. And now I'm going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to prepare my cards. Because I only read 7 books, it leaves me with a lot of cards. So what I did before I turned the video on is I chose a few thickers and alphas, and then I was kind of going through and thinking of little sayings about books. So I got books are magical. Your favorite book awaits is one of them. Read and be calm. So it's just some filler cards. So I basically just choose some 4x6 cards, and then some little tiny stickers, and I just write out things that are kind of bookish, just to kind of fill in And as soon as I finish the cards, I take out my album and I put the cards right into the album, because there's something that I know about myself, is that if I don't complete the task, it could be months before I get to it again. So what I'm trying to do this year is being very good at, when I start something, to get it finished. So right now I'm working on, all the books that I read in 2020 and finishing that album. So I'm being very good every week to put aside about an hour and a half and completing this album. But that's it. That's all the books that I read in August 2020. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.